Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. Happy Friday. What a great day. Make Fridays great again. No, they're already great. Okay. Let's transition this into politics. I got a call today from someone close to me, important to me, someone who I love and care about. I won't say who because I've gotten in trouble over the last year or so talking about my family a little too cavalierly online. Um, I've made no secret that I come from a progressive home, very politically active, very intelligent people. Might have skipped a generation here, but that's my background. And so it was very confusing and scary for them when I became this big Trump supporter last year, when I followed Kennedy to Trump because Kennedy was my guy. Um, some people in my family have expressed alarm about my posts. I'm worshiping Trump. I'm overlooking the horrible things that he does. I'm an asshole, turning into an asshole, this and that. And some of that's valid, but here's the point. The person who called me this morning has been avoiding looking at my ex profile for a couple months now, maybe even longer for that reason. And they were randomly looking at my profile yesterday. Who knows why? And they came across the video I have currently on my pinned post, which is the latest podcast I did, in which I discussed Nick Fuentes and the ideas Nick Fuentes represents. And this person called me very early this morning and said, Brian, I want to let you know that I was looking at your profile last night. I said, oh, and I saw the video about Nick Fuentes. I said, oh, okay, okay. And long story short, they called to tell me, well, first they said they were very nervous when they saw a video titled My Opinion of Nick Fuentes. They thought it was going to be professing my love for Nick, and which just shows how ignorant, totally ignorant they are of my political leanings, but that's okay. They said, Brian, I got to tell you, I was extremely impressed by your video. And without, patting myself on the back too much, they said nice things about it. And they also said, I couldn't believe how calm you were and fair you were to both sides. And it's like you're a completely different person from this Trump loving maniac that you present yourself as through your posts online. And I said, well, thank you very much. I've been hosting the podcast for years now, and I think I've always been the same way. And it's interesting. I think a lot of people will say whatever they want on a mic or in a podcast because they just feel free and they're just talking. For me, for some reason, I'm the opposite, and they'll be real careful what they put in writing. For me, I'm like, hey, if I'm thinking it, I'm tweeting it. That's just how I am. And if I'm recording a video, I want to be measured and thoughtful. I don't want to look like a maniac. It's one thing to, because you can defend your tweets, right? You can say, hey, look, X, Y, and Z. This is why that tweet's not crazy. But if you're on video saying stupid shit, looking like an idiot, it's pretty hard to defend that. So that's my style. And I felt good about that call. I really appreciated it. And transitioning now to my next thought here. You know, it's related. I've talked a lot of shit about the far left in the last 18 months. And I've said a lot of nice things about Republican ideas in that same time. And so am I a Republican now? Well, I've told you my voting record 1,000 times. Obama, Hillary, Joe. Trump was a registered Democrat in '08, but became an independent in 2012 because I just don't like being part of big groups. Even back then, when I wasn't really paying attention, I just said, I don't want to be a Democrat. I'll vote for Democrats because that's my upbringing and that's what I believe in currently. But um, so am I a Republican now? Well, no, I'm not yet a committed Republican. I think there's a good chance I get there, but the story's not over yet. And that's why I was a little hesitant to rebrand my podcast from Searching for Political Identity, which is what it was called ever since I started it in 2012 after studying critical race theory in law school, because I just started to feel like what am I politically nowadays? And by the way, the influence from the class, speaking of identity and identity politics and critical race theory and all of that. So it was a good title and it was a good platform for me, a very useful frame for me to build upon. And I did that for 4 years, damn near every week, and it was phenomenal. But now I felt like, I either got to retire the podcast and just shut up and be a Trump supporter and move on, or I got to rebrand, I got to grow. So I changed it to the Brian Escow Show, which I was very hesitant to do. I didn't want to have my name in it, but I, I guess I'm the host. So I guess my point is, I'm still very much open minded, I would say. And I understand, I do understand why people on the left are concerned about Trump, don't like Trump. Of course I understand. Of course I understand. The thing is, for me, I had this bizarre experience of studying critical race theory in law school, and it fucked me up. Excuse my language, but it fucked me up so badly that when I looked around and as the election unfolded, I go, well, I like Kennedy. I really liked Vivek, to be honest. But I was like, okay, Kennedy's my guy. And then he endorsed, so I followed. And it made sense because Trump was railing against CRT. And so, despite all of the things that I understand are making people who don't like Trump concerned, at the same time, I like the guy. I like, I just like his instincts, man. And I understand they need to be tempered and observed and watched, right? You don't necessarily want to give him unchecked power, but I believe, call me naive, tell me if I'm naive. I believe that he loves America, cares about it, and wants to go down. You saw that video of him with his granddaughter on the golf course, and she goes, "What's your goal now?" And he goes, "Well, it was to become president, and now it's to be a great president." I believe he wants to be a great president, and you have to do great things for the American people for that to be for that label to apply. And so I see a guy who's experienced in business, not any business, property, real estate. This guy understands actually managing a real thing, not just a business, but a property. And it's maybe not a perfect analogy to America, but we we are a physical location with people on it. And he understands that world. And I got to say I'm inspired when he negotiates peace, when he talks tough to tough guys. Now people say, "Oh, he's all soft on the tough guys." Well, look, and he's tough on the soft guys. Look, I think he's dancing and playing and negotiating. You can't make a deal with someone if you're calling them a scumbag all the time, right? So I just like the way he plays his cards. I love his passion, his energy, and I'm not going to deny that. I'm a fan. I've become a fan. And so, what does the political landscape look like post Trump? That'll be really interesting. The Republican bench is super deep, and so if I had to bet money on it right now, I'd say I'm definitely going to vote for a Republican in 2028. But you never know; it's a long time away. And my heart and my mind, as I said in a post just a few minutes ago, will always be open to a moderate Democrat. I'm not interested in the extreme left. I got a taste of it and I don't like it. The extreme right, the Nick Fuentes, all of that, equally disturbing. Not interested. I just want American, proud, strong, smart, loving. I think Trump fits that bill. And that's all. That's really all I have to say. So I'm going to continue hosting this podcast. I've got a great guest tomorrow. I don't have his info pulled up, and so forgive me for not telling you more about it. But I've got some great guests lined up over the next several weeks and beyond. And I'm going to continue exploring concepts of political identity, truth, and more. You know, as part of the rebrand, I said maybe I can talk about, I don't know. Well, with my guests, I think the guests will continue to be politically focused. But for my solo episodes, life updates, movie reviews, you name it. This is the Brian Escow show, and If you like how I think and how I operate, then the show is for you. And if you're interested, I would invite you to go ahead and click the link in my bio, right? Wherever the hell it is. And not only subscribe wherever you prefer to listen to podcasts, but leaving a 5-star review. Okay, even a 4-star would be fine. 5 would be better. No threes. No, a review, leaving a review would be great. If you want to do me a favor and boost me, um, the podcast is not my job. I never sought to make this a business. With that said, if one day I were to wake up and I had 100,000 subscribers and I was making money and was able to quit my job, I think I would. I think I would do that because I love thinking about politics, learning, connecting people, explaining things for people. If I ever get to a point where I understand them, it's few and far between. CRT is one of them. And that's why I've made it pretty much my identity talking about CRT because I actually learned about it. So if you're interested in helping me grow and reach that, I guess you could call it a dream. I guess it's a dream. Yeah. I would like to get to a point where I could support myself podcasting. That would be pretty cool. So that's one way you can help. Uh, anyway, I think that's all I got, guys. Have a great Friday night. We're going to the theater tonight, and we love doing this. Okay, my boyfriend and no, I'm just kidding. My fiance Alexa and I, we love going to the theater. I'm not that thrilled tonight. It's and Juliet, right? So it's like a modern Romeo and Juliet with modern pop songs or whatever. I don't know. Maybe it'll be good, but I'm expecting to be disappointed compared to Aladdin. What was the other one we loved? Or I loved Aladdin. Oh gosh, I don't know, but we like going to the theater. So take care of yourselves, guys. Have a great weekend and go Trump. Later.